This is Viva for Viva, what was progressive fighting against. So, this is that. So, what was progressivism fighting against? Today, we glorify politics and actions taken by progressives nearly in early 20th century America. However, the effectiveness of their efforts can blind us just how different urban centers were and how from equivalence. The unprecedented wave of immigration and industrialization, which transformed the 19th century, created lawless and chaotic urban areas which progressives sought to stabilize. It caused chaos and violence, which brought about the first wave of urbanization, the powerful grips of maritime politics and government occupation, machine politics and government occupation, and the grand thought dominated immigrants communities within American cities. Point 1. The rising tide of chaos and violence was brought about the 19th century urbanization. The rapid transfer of population from the country to the cities led to a bunch of people without constraints from small towns, and many felt free to misbehave, leading to decline in morality and increase in criminal behavior. In the mid 1800s, a man named H. Holmes, or that was his criminal name, started scamming people by collecting insurance money from people by going to the morgue and finding a body just like the one he had, and then he would fake deaths and collect their money. They would die, and that was how he was making his money. Later, he wanted to up his game, so he started a hotel where he would kill people by large chutes. They had dissection tables, they had torture chambers, hanging people. And when they would die, they would collect all the money that they would use for insurance and all of their personal property at the same time. And then they would sell the skeleton to universities, and he would make a lot of money for that. Later, he was then found and hanged. But the basement of that still remains in Chicago. The Chicago Tribune said, quote, "Oh, what a queer house it was. In all America, there was none like it. Point 2. The chaos and lawless limits of people's lives was almost unbearable. Politicians found this to ensure success for themselves. So, Boss Tweed was a founder and construction of the crew of members of Tammany Hall. Construction of New York Country House. Tammany Hall is pretty much a scam place where people would go and they would find different scam artist ways to make money, kind of, but no one knew that except them. So the construction cost, this was one of their ways of doing it. The construction cost of New York Century Courthouse, which budgeted $250,000, under the influence of Tammany Hall, came to $13 million, which equals $185 million in today's money. A single carpenter was paid $360,751 for work, which is $4.9 million in today's money. Pretty much they would do this, and how this would work is that they would have the people they would hire for construction and everything else would be people from Tammany Hall. So then the people of Tammany Hall would give the money back to Tammany Hall, and if they ran away with the money, they would pretty much be killed pretty much instantly, because if you mess with Tammany Hall, you mess with the boys, and then they go pa pa pa. So, quote by Alex Palmer says, quote, "Boss Tweed and his associates are thought to have stolen somewhere between 30 million and 200 million from New York City," end quote. Point 3. Gangs dominated the immigrant communities within American cities. So, here's a little interesting thing. There's a person named Sadie the Goat. She was pretty feral. And pretty much what she would do is she would use her prettiness with two other guys, and then when one of the guys would be like, the two guys would go behind that guy, and then they would be ready to catch him, and then Sadie the Goat would go, and then run into the guy and knock him out. So then they would drag him to the street and then do other stuff to him, and then he would never tell the cops because he'd be embarrassed. And then they got away with this for a really, really long time. So one day, Sadie the Goat was in a bar. And then she ended up messing with the bartender who ripped her ear off. And then she wasn't pretty anymore. So she went down the street and found all of these other gang people who were trying to rob something, but they were amateurs. So she was like, hey, want to do this pirate thing? And they were like, yeah, let's do the pirate thing. She's like, but I got to be your queen. So they're like, okay, you'll be our queen. You can run us and stuff. And then she did that for a really long time. Then she went back to the place. And so when she was like old and stuff, because she would steal people's picnic stuff. Like, go buy your own food, but she didn't because she's mean. And then eventually she went back to the bar and she's like, I just want to thank you for giving me all of these great adventures and stuff. So, like, thank you so much. I wouldn't have gotten to be a part of this pirate band and stuff for a really long, ever if you wouldn't have done this. So I just want to thank you. And then the person at the bar was like, oh, this means so much to me. Thank you so much. And then she went to the back and grabbed Sadie's ear that was like soaking in vinegar water for like years and gave it back to Sadie the goat, who was feral. And then she put it on a necklace and wore it like on a necklace, her ear. She wore her ear on a necklace for like ever. I don't understand. Quote by Joseph J. Bruno says, Sadie wore her severed ear in a locket around her neck for the rest of her life. It's kind of messed up. So, although today we glorify politics and actions taken by progressives in the early 20th century America, however, the effectiveness of their efforts can blind us just how different urban centers were from their equivalents. The unprecedented cause of immigration and industrialization, which transformed the 19th century, created lawless and chaotic urban centers, which progressives sought to stabilize. The chaos and violence brought about the first wave of urbanization, the powerful grips of machine politics and government occupation, and the grand dominated immigrant communities within American cities. Thank you so much for watching, and until next, I'll see you next time.